Okay, first and foremost, it's too many games on, god dang it. Right now, I had to stop and make this video while I'm in the middle. In the first quarter, it's only 20 seconds left in the first quarter, might I add, mind you, of the Mississippi Rebels going up against Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, okay? But I had to get this out. Okay, I gotta get this video out. Guys, we just saw the South Carolina Gamecocks almost get upset, okay? But they did avoid the upset by the Louisville Cardinals, okay? And again, today we have so many games, guys. I'm tired of having to pick and choose. I didn't miss the North Carolina versus Texas Longhorns game. And right now, I chose to watch Hannah Hidalgo, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, up against the Mississippi Rebels, instead of watching LSU versus Duke. But I'm going between channels, okay? Because I'm trying to get all this tea. But more than likely, I'll probably call the LSU versus Duke game probably tomorrow, possibly even the Notre Dame versus Mississippi Rebels game after this sometime tomorrow. Okay, because we only got one women's college basketball game that comes on tomorrow. That's like, West Virginia versus Mercyhurst. I don't really care for either team, so I'm not gonna watch those games. I'm not gonna watch that game tomorrow. So I'm like, let me talk about South Carolina and them, avoiding an upset in tonight's game. Because guys, listen, I ain't gonna lie, looking at these statistics for the individual player stats, I'm literally shocked, guys, because the bigs, mainly being Okot, let me make sure I'm saying her name right, Medina Okot, she was the leading scorer in tonight's game. It was so many times. Listen, the South Carolina Gamecocks, they had their foot on the Louisville Cardinals' necks throughout the entire game until the fourth quarter. Okay, at first I believe the Louisville Cardinals, they had a lead for a little bit, but no more than 4 points over the South Carolina Gamecocks, whereas the Gamecocks in the third quarter, we were up 11 points. And then in the fourth quarter, everything just seemed to go down the tubes. And it reminded me of what happened last Thursday. Just 7 days ago, 1 week ago. What happened on Thursday? Thanksgiving Day was when South Carolina Gamecocks got their first L of the season by none other than Texas Longhorns. And what happened in that game? In that game last week, just 7 days prior, on Thanksgiving Day, we saw in the third quarter, the South Carolina Gamecocks was up by 10 points? Up against the Texas Longhorns. And I'm like, in tonight's game, we up 11 points up against Louisville Cardinals. And in the fourth quarter, we allowed them to get in front of us by 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. And I'm like, what is going on with them? And all I can think about is how many times we see the bigs, mainly being Okot and Joyce Edwards, missing layups that they ain't got no business missing. It was crazy. I'm literally shocked, guys. When I say I'm shocked, look me in my eyes and you can see that I ain't lying. I'm shocked that Medina Okot was the leading scorer in tonight's game for the South Carolina Gamecocks. She had 23 points. Joyce had 12 points. And I'm like, how? They missed so many easy layups. Medina Okot missed 2 free throws. I believe it was the fourth quarter. The third quarter, it's like she was missing free throws. The bigs were missing their free throws. Now the guards, who are smaller, okay, they're only but so close to the damn rim. To the rim. It's a 10-foot hoop. I'm like, 5'9" Raven Johnson making her layups. She making her layups. 5'8" Tanaya Latson, she making her layups. But 6'6" Okot, you missing every other layup. 6'3" Joyce Edwards, you missing every other layup. Then y'all got the nerves to be missing free throws, which is free, tax-free money on the table. Absolutely abysmal. Absolutely asinine. Unacceptable. And Dawn Staley was on the freaking sidelines pissed. She was throwing a hissy fit. Thankfully, she got some sense. She has enough basketball IQ to know when it's time to time out, because these girls need help. There were so many times when we were down 2 points, 3 points, when we was just up above in the fourth and final quarter mainly. We was only in front of the Louisville Cardinals by 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. She was like, no, timeout. Because the way they moving, they need my guidance. Again, South Carolina, shout out to them. They avoided this upset. The game concluded with South Carolina's on top with 79 points. Louisville had 77 points. In the first quarter, the Gamecocks, again, they were controlling the pace. They had 27 points. The Cardinals had 25 points. In that first quarter, the first and second quarter, I love that pace. They were fast, both sides. Offensively, defensively, and both teams. They would score a point. The Cardinals, Gamecocks would score a point. It just kept going back and forth. I like that. I'm not really a fan of runs, unless it's my team, of course, winning. But I prefer, instead of, again, I don't like boring blowouts. Put your hands up and give it some fight. Get some defensive stops in. Put the gas, push on the gas offensively up against your opponent. Don't let them just do you any old type of way. So in the first quarter, we saw the Louisville Cardinals trail behind the Gamecocks by 2 points. They had 25 points, Gamecocks had 27. In the second quarter, the Gamecocks had 18 points, the Cardinals had 14. In the third quarter, the Gamecocks had 18 points again. The Cardinals scored 23. That's when they, again, in the third quarter, they were getting hot. In the fourth and final quarter, the Gamecocks put up 16 points. Cardinals had 15. Now, for the individual player statistics, again, I'm shocked looking at South Carolina Gamecocks, the players' numbers, because Joyce Edwards had 12 points, 0 assists, 5 rebounds. And I believe it, because she had missed quite a few layups. Medina Okot, again, I'm shocked. She had a double-double. She had 23 points, 2 assists, and 13 rebounds after missing quite a lot of layups. Raven Johnson, she was doing her thing, even though she had some silly turnovers. She had 11 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Shout out to Tessa Johnson. Okay, she had 20 points, 3 assists, 7 rebounds. Tessa Johnson was giving us much-needed threes. She made at least 4 3-point shots in tonight's game. Tanaya Latson had 9 points, 5 assists, 1 rebound. Again, another thing about Tessa Johnson mainly is I like her hustle. I believe it was the third quarter, the end of the third quarter. I believe it was towards the end of the third quarter. I saw Tessa Johnson literally sprint from one end of the freaking court to the other to catch a ball. She gets possession of the ball. She does not allow it to roll out of bounds. I believe she passed it to Tanaya Latson, possibly Joyce Edwards, and allowed them to score. A beautiful assist. Again, Tessa Johnson got that hustle. You need hustle in basketball. Adele Tech had 1 point, 0 assists, 1 rebound. And then Isla McDowell had 3 points, 1 assist, and 2 rebounds. Now, Louisville's individual player statistics, Laura Ziegler had 0 points. I'm shocked. 1 assist and 4 rebounds. She played for 26 minits. Ziegler, girl, get it together. McKinley Randolph had 2 points, 0 assists, 2 rebounds. Alif Istanbuloglu had 15 points, 1 assist, 9 rebounds. My apologies for the name butchering. Anaya Hardy had 6 points, 0 assists, 5 rebounds. Tajana Roberts had 20 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. Poor baby. She was crying at the end of this game. After she got that foul, she fouled Okot. Okot got the free throws. I think she only missed one. She made one, missed one, of course. But, Roberts was just like, you could tell she was tearing up. She was like, damn, I didn't possibly give away the game fouling these people. But Raina Scott had 15 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Imari Berry had 7 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds. And Skylar Jones had 12 points, 0 assists, and 2 rebounds. Now, looking at these team stats, guys, is very interesting because when it comes to field goals, okay, the Gamecocks were slightly above performance when in comparison with the Cardinals, okay. For field goals, the Gamecocks were 30 for 61 or 49.2%. The Cardinals were 31 for 65 or 47.7%. When it comes to 3 points made, the Gamecocks were 8 for 16 or 50%. The Cardinals were 9 for 23 at 39.1%. When it comes to free throws made, the Gamecocks were 11 for 17 or 64.7%. And the Cardinals were 6 for 10 or just 60%. The Gamecocks had 34 rebounds. Cardinals had 33. Gamecocks had 19 assists. Cardinals had 11. Both teams were tied for blocks at 1 and 1. The Gamecocks had 4 steals. The Cardinals had 3. The Gamecocks and the Cardinals were again tied at turnovers. They both had 11 each. Points made in the paint. Cardinals had 30. The Gamecocks had 36. When it comes to fouls, the Cardinals had 16. Gamecocks only had 10. Again, tonight was a very impressive game. Okay, it was very exciting. Again, I'm not a fan of boring blowouts. I was like, I got to call this game. Even though, damn, the second quarter just started. Well, not just started. It's 6 minutes left in the second quarter, but Notre Dame is doing Mississippi Rebels. More than likely, I'm going to rewatch this game tomorrow morning, and LSU versus Duke, and call them tomorrow. But again, guys, comment down below your thoughts on, I know it's not me. Again, I'm literally shocked that Okot had 23 points. She was the leading scorer in tonight's game for the Gamecocks. I know it's not me that noticed that the bigs were they were missing. When I say the bigs, I'm saying 6'2" and up. Mainly Edwards and Okot. When it came to them layups, the layup ability, they were missing the mark. I'm like, the guards are literally carrying this team tonight. And it's just crazy to me. But again, they got it done, okay? They avoided an upset. So shout out to the South Carolina Gamecocks.